Yo, what's going on? This is Council Polly Rob. Thank you for visiting my channel once again. I got another video for y'all. You know what I'm saying? Make sure you hit the subscribe button. You know what I mean? I've been seeing a lot of people subscribe. I appreciate y'all. Hit the subscribe button, hit the notifications button so you can get all updates. Now, listen, why they doing Quentin Miller like that, yo? Why they doing Quentin Miller dirty? That's not right. If you don't know who Quentin Miller is, he is a songwriter and he is a producer. He's worked with a lot of dope people. He's worked with Drake. He's worked with Tory Lanez. He's worked with a bunch of dope people. And if you just stay up on hip hop and whatnot, you'll know that he's been a writer that's been very much criticized for possibly ghostwriting for, artists like Drake or whomever. You know what I mean? That whole scandal when, Drake and Meek Mill was doing a whole beef thing. Meek Mill used Quentin Miller's name and, just information, kind of twisted it a little bit to make it seem like Quentin Miller was ghostwriting for Drake. You know what I mean? And that whole thing just kind of went left field, you know what I mean? Quentin Miller got the bad end of the stick, you know what I mean? Meek Mill and Drake end up reconciling and being cool, but they left Quentin Miller out to dry, you know what I mean? He was working with Drake, doing some dope records, and now, Drake don't work with him no more. Meek Mill don't work with him, and he's just trying to do his thing. But that happened in the past. Now, fast forward to now, he's been, working with the likes of Hit Boy and Nas, be doing some dope records. So I'm assuming that the King's Disease music that you've heard, he's done some form of, production or probably writing hooks and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And now he's getting backlash for that. Now you're getting backlash for that. Like people is saying, quote unquote, which I don't believe at all, but they saying that Quentin Miller is ghostwriting for Nas. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. What are y'all talking about? Yo, viewers out there, fans, yo, stop that. Stop that. Nobody has ghostwritten for Nas. His pen is crazy. Stop that. And I'm not saying, artists, sometimes they do have ghostwriters. I do not believe Nas has any ghostwriters. But what I do believe is, which is something that's very common in the music industry, working with artists, giving them ideas. There's so many other ways of when somebody says that they're working with an artist, is so many other ways to help them with their project besides ghostwriting or writing their lyrics. Like, there's so many other ways. And I just want to first off say, like, Quentin Miller got on his, his Instagram page and he went off because he was very, very disappointed in how people are painting this narrative, because he knows what that leads to. It leads to, artists that, he works with hearing this type of backlash or people saying this type of ghostwriting stuff, and it makes them not want to work with him. And he missing out on money. He missing out on the bag. And I'll be pissed too. I'll be pissed too. I'm a songwriter. I'm a producer. I'm an engineer. So I wear those hats, but I wear them at different times depending on what the artist needs or what the label needs and stuff like that. And I understand, like, yo, like, I can only imagine how he feels. It's like, man, it's getting to a point where people don't want to work with him because they don't want the backlash of saying, oh, he ghost writ for me. And like, come on, man, that's terrible, bro. So I wanted to definitely talk about it because first off, I think the fans don't know. Let's just keep it 100. The fans do not know what happens in a traditional, studio or just in studios. They don't know how the process of creating this music works. So I want to share with y'all a little bit of information so y'all kind of get a little bit of insight of how people work. Like, it's not just, first off, it's not just somebody who made the beat and somebody who's writing all the lyrics, and then the song is being created. Are there sessions where that occurs? Yes, but not all the time. A lot of times, records are team records. Records are group records. People come together to create this song. You feel what I'm saying? It's almost like almost like sports. Like yeah, you can have somebody that's doing the catching, you can have somebody that's doing the throwing, have somebody doing the running, the defense. But in order to have a great body of work, you got to bring people in to help with elements of putting things together. Now, the artist, the let's say if it's a rapper, the rapper can write all his own lyrics, which a lot of times it happens. He'll write all his own lyrics or her own lyrics to the actual song, but you'll have, somebody who's another writer. They're not writing their lyrics, but they're writing the hook, or they're writing the bridge, or they might just give you an idea of a song to make. Somebody like Quentin Miller will be like, Ludacris, and I'm just using his name, Ludacris' name, just to be using it. He'll be like, yo, Ludacris, I got a great idea. I think you should do a record that's kind of in the likes of, talking about how aggressive we need to be when it's time to move like in a positive light against whatever's going on. Like a lot of people use their aggressiveness and their energy for doing bad shit. Let's talk about a record where you're using your energy and aggressiveness to do something in a positive manner. Like, you could give him that idea, and he could be sitting there like, and then it gives him an idea, and he starts penning his verse. He starts writing down his verse, based on the beat or whatever the case may be. That happens all the time. It happens all the time. Sometimes, especially for artists, they need just that one little conversation or that little piece of idea to start crafting a song or even an album. It happens all the time. And somebody like Hit Boy, phenomenal producer. If he's making the beat and putting things together, you know what I mean? Nas is on the other end writing his lyrics. Sometimes you need another person that's also a writer to help kind of communicate the ideas between both of them. And I'm not saying that Hit Boy and Nas don't have chemistry, but what I'm saying is it can only help if there's another person that can take the ideas from Hit Boy and then Nas and kind of add other elements to it that'll bring it to life. Because that person, not only can they add an extra creative flair, but they're also somebody who's looking from the outside in that can offer more ideas. That happens all the time. When I'm in a studio session, I'll have a singer, I'll have somebody who's a writer, I'll have, I produce, but I also have like another one of my fellow producers come in. I engineer, but I still have another engineer come in. And sometimes my job is to just communicate the ideas that everybody has on how to actually bring it together and make it cohesive. Sometimes I'm just the engineer. I'm like, oh, I'm just playing an engineer role for today because that's what's needed to get this song completed. Or, it's like I'm in there and I'm helping to craft the entire song. You know what I mean? Sometimes if it's an R&B artist, I might, songwrite, and write a particular song for them. And then they might come in because they're a writer and they might adjust some of the words. You don't know. You don't know what's going to happen in that studio session. But for Quentin Miller to say that he's worked with Nas, that does not mean that he ghostwrites for Nas. That just means that he worked with Nas. That just means he worked with Nas. He probably gave him an idea for a dope record. Yes, you get paid for that. You get paid for giving artists great ideas to create records. Yes, it happens like that. So the fans, like, y'all need to be informed on how this process goes, so y'all can understand that when somebody say they work with somebody, that does not mean that whatever your idea of working with them is how it's going. You don't know the playbooks for the Dallas Cowboys. You don't know how they're putting together their plays until you see it. You know what I'm saying? So you don't know how people are working together in the studio unless they tell you or unless you're there. You know what I'm saying? Last thing I want to say, we need to cherish people like Quentin Miller. We need to cherish them. And let me explain why. This is somebody who's offering his talents and his help to make other people's projects better. He's trying to help the nature of whatever that project is be better. If you like the latest, and I'm only assuming that he worked on the latest King's Disease, because, you know, I don't know if he worked on number 1 or number 2. I'm assuming he worked on part 3. If you like King's Disease 3, most likely you might like a song that Quentin Miller helped with. So applaud him. Applaud him. He helped make that project what it is. And don't try to figure out which song he worked on. Doesn't fucking matter. Don't try to figure out what he specifically did in the session. Doesn't matter. If he did something on the project, he did something on the project. If you like the project, ta-da. He just helped the project be dope for you. We need to applaud people like Quentin Miller, and we need to encourage them and say, yo, good shit on you helping and working with this person or this person. You feel what I'm saying? Same thing like Hit Boy, producers like him, locking in with artists and really making things happen. We need to cherish them a lot more, because without them, a lot of the music that we so much love, we don't get to have. We don't get to have. So I just feel like y'all blowing this whole ghostwriting thing out of proportion. I don't think that's the case at all. What's your comments? I want to hear y'all comments. I want to hear how y'all feel about this whole situation. And just let me know, did y'all learn something from what I just, you know, talked about or whatnot? And if y'all got any additional insight that y'all want to say, and maybe I might do this video again and talk a little bit more about it, you know what I'm saying? I'll definitely do that. But I appreciate y'all tuning in, man. And look, enjoy the music, you know, while we have it, please. You know what I'm saying? Because anything can happen. So enjoy people like Quentin Miller. You know, shout out to Nas, shout out to Hit Boy, shout out to everybody in the world that's helping, working on records. You know what I'm saying? It was told to me by my mentor and my business partner, Bob Drew. You know, he always say, like, the best records is team records. The best records is when people come together to work on a body of work. Those end up being the best records. And just in my experience, you know what I'm saying, I got plaques and awards from, you know, team records, me working on a record collectively with my squad. So appreciate y'all, man. Y'all already know what it is. Hit the subscribe button, show love, hit me in the comments, and make sure y'all go to our websites, workload.shop, you know what I'm saying, and localastronauts.space. Workload.shop, localastronauts.space. Man, I see y'all, man. Workload.